Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is more Bad Business gameplay, and this is my belated and late content for the MP5 revamp, which happened a few weeks back. I jumped on, I used it, I've used it a decent amount, and I got some gameplay with it. What you're watching here is actually something quite funny. Funny for me anyway, because it started off this journey that's led to where I am now. Which is, this was my first game of the day when the update came out, so I was using the MP5, and you might notice on my channel, I have not featured the MP5 as a covered gun on Bad Business, and it's not because I don't have a gameplay, and it's not because I didn't use the gun. I've used every gun in the game at this moment, except for some of the specials, and I've even used those in you know, private randomizers and what have you to see what they're all about, but the MP5 I thought was the worst submachine gun in the game. And I know that's going to be crazy to some people, because it's a gun that has no recoil. And the reason that I personally didn't get along with it is because it was a hit marker machine. If you're accurate, you can do great things with the MP5 because it's a very, very, very capable gun, but it just feels like it takes more bullets than it should, and I never found it to be enjoyable at all. I thought the model was kind of lacking, I didn't like the sound of it, and I didn't like the feel of a gun with no recoil. Because when you get used to guns that have lots of recoil, or you mess around with dumb setups to give yourself even more recoil, when you come back to something that doesn't budge, you spend the entire gunfight expecting it to budge and it never does, so it can be a really weird thing you have to teach yourself. That's why sometimes using no recoil guns can be a bad thing for the health of your abilities, because you don't learn how to adjust to when recoil does actually happen. But it got revamped, and I can happily say that I think they did an absolutely wonderful job. I think they really brought it through as a gun that's absolutely worth using, and that is now truer to the Heckler & Koch legacy, and just the overall fun of a submachine gun. It still has moments where it feels like it takes a few too many bullets, but it's nowhere near to the extent as it was before, and it has a little bit more recoil now, which gives the gun a bit more character for me personally. Because if I want to use something with no recoil, there's so many setups I can do, and I'm not really looking for that personally. But this gameplay is my first gameplay using the gun against people. I jumped into a private server, I ran around with it, I tested some of the attachments that I had, because I'd used the MP5 a little bit. And then I jumped into this game, and you'll notice that I'm using, I think I've got a muzzle brake on it, I think I've got the heavy stock to see how good it was against the giving you better recoil control, and it put me on Arena, which is a map that I wouldn't normally run submachine guns on outside of the really, really good ones, because Arena seems to be one of those games where if it doesn't play the way I want it to, which is really aggressive in mid, it's all on the edges, it's all on the balconies, it's all in the spawns, it's all on the precarious galleries, and if I'm going to play that way, I'd rather have something like an AR or even pull out a sniper or a rifle now, because I'm using those guns and trying to practice with them and have some fun with them and see what they're like. So when you're rocking a submachine gun and you have to do long range on Arena, it just feels a bit frustrating, especially when that gun is the one that I happen to be using right now. So I didn't really think too much about this gameplay. I'm not warmed up. I've not played the game at this point in a week or two, so my aim's kind of trash to where it was when I was consistently playing, and I'm just running around. The server seems absolutely fine, it's not too laggy, the enemy team is a decent level of competent and incompetent, no one's too great, no one's too bad, and my team is the exact same. This lobby right now is what I would call a Goldilocks lobby, where my team aren't dominating, where their team isn't dominating, and it gives me and affords me the luxury of running around and having a good time being aggressive. And these are the lobbies that I'm looking for on this game when I'm trying to go for clips, when I'm trying to go for gameplays, when I'm trying to do dumb stuff. And right now, I can feel that I'm in that lobby, even though I'm not warmed up and I'm feeling pretty sluggish and pretty garbage, and we're trying our best. I'm also using the iron sights, which, if you know anything about me, I'm not a big fan of the iron sights in Bad Business. I find them difficult to use personally, and I use the Coyote on nearly everything. And I'd just like to say for the MP5, I think they did a good job with the irons. I just wish that the front ring was a little bit more scaled out, because if you look at the MP5 in almost all the beautiful renditions of it in first-person shooters, there's generally a little bit more real estate to stare through to put your target into that area with the front peg. And my only criticism here is it's a little bit emaciated, it's a little bit small, and it's scaled in such a way that reflects Bad Business and Roblox, but I would have loved for it to be a little bit bigger for my personal tastes. That being said, I think because the gun model is so thin, and I think that because it doesn't have any apertures on the back or anything obstructing and occluding the screen, as far as functionality goes, this is a pretty strong iron sight if you can get used to it, and I would absolutely recommend you do that if you want to experiment and widen your skill ceiling. And then the model itself, which is made by, I believe it's made by Vohex, he's done a wonderful job here. It's one of the prettiest models in the game thus far, and my only real criticism of the model is the two-tone grey on it. where you'll notice that on the grip area at the front and on the stock and then on the handle there's a different type of polymer or a coloration on the polymer being used. And it works, stylistically it works. I think it makes it pop a bit more and it definitely gives it a bit more dimension, but I'm one of those people that I like a uniformity to things, so I would prefer it to all be the same colour, and I can appreciate that it probably might not pop as well visually for the person that made it, and that's fine. But I love the look of the gun. I think they did a great job. Attachments wise, I think it's got some really interesting stuff going on there, and they've made it into something that makes me want to use it. And if you can make me want to use your gun, you've done a great thing. One of my only real criticisms of the gun is due to what I think Ethan did with the AS Val. When you changed the barrels on the Val, it changed how the iron sight looked, and I think that is one of the best things that Bad Business has ever done, and I absolutely adore it. So it would be so sick if they'd have made it so that each of those barrels would have slightly altered the iron in some unique and awesome different way, so that you could customize how you want your iron to be. But that's the end of the gameplay, guys. Thank you for watching, and enjoy the clip that resulted in the end of this video, and the reason that this video is being made. You take care now.
What happened? What happened? It glitched? The game glitched! Oh no, I won!